And we're back. It's week 10 of the Sunday spread. And quite frankly, this NFL season is starting to get real disrespectful. All right, it's starting to get real disrespectful for my parlays. And we're going to try to make sense of all of it. Once again, you know the players. Barrett Brooks, Sean Bell, Devin Caney kicking it with you on the BetQL Network presented by BetMGM. Every week we start off the same way. Where we were dead right and where we were dead wrong. And quite frankly, there's been a lot of dead wrongs for me, folks, for over the last couple of weeks. It wasn't a great one, but we're not going to start with me just because I don't want to start with me. Barrett, let's start with you. Dead right, dead wrong. How was last week? How was week 9 for you?
Well, my dead right was the Ravens. They put a spanking on the Broncos. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was going to be a little closer to that, but I was dead wrong with that. And I was also dead wrong. I was dead right with that. But I was dead wrong on my Eagles. How? Why? When we're up 22. 22.
What were you dead
in
wrong
in the third. Huh?
The spread? You thought it was going to be much higher.
Come on, man.
Okay.
Come on, man. 7? That's all what 7. And what happens? 5. I was dead wrong.
A lot of people not happy with that.
No, but my Ravens
being broken.
My Ravens made it. I was dead right with that. Absolutely dead right.
Okay, Deb, what you had this week? How did your week go?
Well, I can't believe I'm bringing this up again, but if you remember, I thought the Broncos and Ravens game was going to be a little closer than it was, given that they had the same record. But, I guess sometimes records don't reflect talent. So I was absolutely dead wrong about that. I didn't think the Broncos were going to beat the Ravens, but I thought that maybe they would keep it closer.
Just a little closer to, yeah.
Just like a little smaller of a scoring margin there. So dead wrong on that. Right. Saquon Barkley, anytime touchdown, becoming as automatic as a Derrick Henry, anytime touchdown. Same with the Jalen Hurts, anytime touchdown, as far as the Eagles go. Otherwise, it was like a mediocre week for me, I'd say. Like, some things hit, some things didn't, but like the Ravens, Broncos, that L was big enough for me to just like pack it all in by the end of the day, Sunday, and call it quits on week 9 and look forward to week 10.
Well, I'm sorry to say, but I was dead right with that. I was dead right with that. I knew that.
Well,
I know it was going to be a show.
Right? You ditched us, so I didn't have you to argue with. You could have told me that I was wrong last week, but
I'm sorry. I'm on my deathbed and I couldn't make it. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm so
you.
sorry. But in that, on my deathbed, I knew that the Ravens going to spank that ass, and they did.
Yeah.
They did. But
another game I was wrong about, I think a lot of people were wrong, Sean. We were like kind of on the same page here, was the Lions-Packers. It was the first time Jared Goff played outdoors. I think it was a big test to see like, okay, is this Lions offense super legit? Can they get a win in Green Bay in some bad weather? And I thought it was going to be closer than it was. I mean, it was still a close-ish game, but Lions just keep on rolling. They seem unstoppable right now. So I was wrong about that. I thought the Packers were going to...
I say we get a mulligan on that. That rain and that weather, the Lions are built. Even though they're indoors, their running back, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery.
They are, but Jared Goff isn't.
But they're built for that. Jared Goff threw for what? I think 85 yards? They're built.
Yeah, he's had back-to-back games of under 100 passing yards, and they're still rolling.
Yeah, they're built for that type of game.
If
the rain changed the prediction. If you told me it was going to rain like that, and I guess I should have looked in the forecast when we were doing the show, I would have said, yeah, the Lions have the more likelihood because they have the better run game than the Green Bay Packers. So I'm giving us a mulligan on that one.
No, you can't get a mulligan.
I'm going
to tell you.
You weren't here, so how you going to tell us we can't get a mulligan?
They're once again on my deathbed. I would have told y'all if I was there that they have the second best. Well, they have the first best offensive line now because the Eagles right now are have 2 of their starters out. Well, 1 of their starters out. They have right now, frankly, the best offensive line in football. It goes them, and then I got to put Minnesota, and then I'll put the Eagles because we don't have our left tackle there. But I mean, we're talking about offensive lines. They have a stout offensive line.
B. Brooks knows offensive line.
Offensive line.
I'll say I was dead right too with the Ravens, and I said 9.5. I believe it was. I said that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
I am Mr. I'm not going to believe in the Broncos, and I'm going to stay consistent even when they prove me wrong. I'm going to stay consistent with my Broncos hate. So I was dead right on that. That was sort of easy money for me. Just overall, dead right on the Chargers in my prediction of the Chargers earlier this season. I just felt like this Charger team, I know they're facing a bad Browns team, but the Browns team coming off a good win, I just feel like Jim Harbaugh, again, Dev talks about, vibeless teams, and I understand the Chargers are vibeless, but Jim Harbaugh brings some vibes. They're weird vibes. They're quirky vibes, but he brings some vibes there, and he brings winning stuff there, so they won. Again, here's the funny thing. I'm gonna have to call myself out on being hypocritical. Dev, it's like when I'm wrong, they want to tweet that. Like Kenny wants to clip it up and tweet it when I'm wrong. Like not when I'm right. Not the tweets where I'm dead, not the comments where I'm dead right. I said Saquon was on my ban list. Remember I did. That's the one clip for the 2 hour show. Saquon's banned from my TD list because Jalen Hurts is a touchdown merchant. What happens? Saquon gets 2 touchdowns. And I'm going to say I'm also a hypocrite because I still put him down for an anytime touchdown, even though during the show I said I wasn't. I still did it. I still fought for it, but I still want some money on it because I went against what I had to say. And I just want to say this. One last one. And this is how is Sean going to get screwed this week? Parlay. All right? So Kansas City Chiefs, Monday night game, I have a nice little parlay. I have a parlay of Kareem Hunt getting over 75 yards at an anytime touchdown. Money, he had 106 and a touchdown. I have a parlay of DeAndre Hopkins having over 50 yards and an anytime touchdown. Boom! Both of those happened. And by the way,
D-Hop just getting there too?
Yeah.
Just getting there.
Yeah, I did. I said, F it. I was going to do it, but I said, F it. I'm going to do it. And Kareem Hunt, obviously that happened at the end of the game. And then I had Patrick Mahomes throwing for over 250. He threw for 291. That's 5 parts of my 6 legs parlay. My 6th aspect of that parlay was Bucky Irving, 25 yards. That's it. Bucky Irving going for 25 yards in this game. He had 7 carries for 24 yards. How?
You get one of them every week, though.
I get screwed every week like this. 1 yard. 1 yard. And they went to overtime. So in overtime, I'm like, all right, I still don't have my Kareem Hunt anytime. I still don't have my Bucky Irving. Please somehow Tampa Bay get the ball so Bucky can get, like, I'm rooting for all types of scenarios for Bucky Irving to get 1 carry and then punt the ball and Kareem Hunt do something special. And here we are. Here we freaking are. So every week.
Let me once again say that we were counting my Cardinals out. Now, I said at the beginning of the season, the Cardinals are a lot better than what people give them credit for. And lo and behold, what happens? They beat the heck out of the Chicago Bears. Sorry about that, Bear fans.
Young Kenny and everybody out.
Sean and I had a whole segment with Kenny last week talking about as our resident Bears fan, Kenny, our producer, talking about that Hail Mary at the end of the Commanders-Bears game. Like, it's just got to be painful. As much as I feel like everyone thinks that their football team or NFL team is like the most painful, but Bears fans are going through it this season.
Oh, no question. And Dev, Kyler Murray, no. Calamari put it on y'all.
Calamari.
Cardinals,
I feel like the Cardinals and the Rams are now 2 teams where you just, at least for me, I feel like they're hard to bet because I never know what version of them is going to show up. I don't know if I had the Bears winning. I think maybe I had them covering the spread last week. I don't remember against the Cardinals, but I didn't expect them to get blown out by the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, if I wasn't on my deathbed, I would have told you to go in that direction.
Oh, all this hindsight knowledge and
when you're not on the show, you're always right. There's nothing you went wrong with.
Yeah.
And the entire NFC West is like that. You can play great or you can play bad. Like you can get got by Seattle. It's the same way. You can be really good or you can not be so good. Let's get to what went down this week that affects the rest of the season, the trade deadline. It wasn't as much as I thought. All the big names, the Myles Garretts, the Max Crosbys, like
I really don't. I knew they weren't going anywhere.
I didn't think so either. No. But again, you had no real big names, but you did have some interesting moves. So let's go through the rosters, and I want y'all to tell me how you like the move, and if you think that move is going to affect the team's ability in the playoffs. If you actually think that move is going to propel that team into something really good. We'll start with the Steelers. They are on the move. Mike Williams, he's not going to get thrown under the bus anymore like Aaron Rodgers is throwing him under the bus. He's going to the Steelers. Preston Smith also gets picked up by the Steelers. Dev, I'll start with you. Those two moves, how do you like them? Do you think that changes anything for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Yeah, I think it changes. I don't know a lot, but a little. I mean, just adding another option for Russell Wilson to get the ball to just improves what has already been an improving passing offense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on the Steelers here. And look, I'm not a Pittsburgh fan, but they're 6-2, and we somehow, I feel, rarely discuss them when we're talking about teams that are legit contenders. I mean, I think that the Steelers-Commanders game, we'll get into it a bunch more later in the show, is going to be a great matchup because the Steelers have an incredible defense, which they just made stronger by getting Preston Smith.
It's like they're greedy, right? It's like they're greedy. They want all the pass rush. They're being greedy.
Well, and I'm jealous as an Eagles fan because I did think that the Eagles needed, even though their defense is playing well, I think that they still needed a pass rusher. But Mike Tomlin, the Steelers went out and they got more help on that defensive front, and they got Mike Williams. I don't know how productive he's going to be this week just because it's such a quick turnaround, but I don't think it'll hurt them. But overall, it just felt like a very underwhelming trade deadline. Like I didn't think Myles Garrett or Max Crosby were going to move because if I were the Raiders or the Browns, no matter how bad my season was going, I absolutely wouldn't move them, especially Myles Garrett, who's like a generational talent. But it would have made it a bit more exciting.
You're absolutely right on that. I mean, absolutely right on that. Because you can't let those type of guys go. You can't let – I mean, regardless of how bad you are, first of all, you drafted Garrett. That's number one.
Right.
And I know, like I said, I do college football games. So I can remember interviewing. And this is one of the most likable guys in the world. He's a great locker room guy. The guy he wants to be a paleontologist. He wants to talk about dinosaurs. We're talking about –
Really? That's so cool.
You were about to play – yeah, you're about to play LSU. And he's talking about dinosaurs and Tyrannosaurus Rexes and stuff like that. You know, here he is, 6'4.5", 270 pounds, runs a 4.6 40. He has a 41-inch vertical jump, and he wants to talk about,
pterodactyls.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, all right, so I knew they weren't moving. I knew Max Crosby wasn't moving because he doesn't want to move. He likes where he is. They love him there. And he's got a defensive-minded coach. The head coach is a defensive guy, so I knew he wasn't going anywhere.
So let's talk about the team let's talk about the move that may affect y'all's Philadelphia Eagles. Marshawn Lattimore going to the Commanders. Again, the Commanders lacking on defense. They find a cornerback who's, I wouldn't say still in his prime, but still a good cornerback. Barrett, how do you feel that moves?
I like the matchup. I mean, he's gonna be going against our best. Him and AJ go at it all the time. And it's a great matchup. AJ gets the better of him all the time. That's why he gets so frustrated when he's playing AJ because he's too little. He's too little to stop AJ.
Look at that.
He's too little. You know what I'm saying? AJ's a beast. So,
you went into talking trash mode immediately. I asked you about that move, and you immediately said he's too little. He can't hold my man's immediate. Dad, he didn't even let it breathe.
Sean, I gotta tell the truth.
Get analytical with it for a second.
The truth will set you free.
Oh,
the truth will set you free. And Marshawn's a really good corner, but I think AJ's one of the few guys that get underneath his skin, and they go at it every time they play against each other. So I know this could be a matchup. He's gonna get a little bit of AJ. This will be his third. It'll be 3 times this year. He'll be able to get a little bit of AJ. Okay. You know what I'm saying? 3 times this year. Oh, boy. We'll see. Let the best matchup go.
Barrett has no fear. Devin, do you have any Marshawn Lattimore fear?
Fear, no, but
nope.
It's frustrating to see that the Commanders, because that had been kind of, I think their offense has been so fun to watch this season, and they're great. So when it comes to the Commanders, I feel like a lot of people, especially here in Philly, are like, where'd they come from? Like, if you look at the Commanders past against the Eagles, at least in the NFC, like, even when they didn't have a quarterback, they were usually at least splitting. Like, they've always kind of given trouble because it's divisional games. You never know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
So I hadn't underestimated them in the first place, but their offense has certainly, surpassed, I think, mine, anyone's expectations regardless. And their weakness was their defense. Does Lattimore completely fix their defense? No, their run defense is still terrible. He's one player. Like Barrett said, there are matchup weaknesses there, but it doesn't hurt. Same thing with the Steelers. Like, they still addressed an issue And the Washington Commanders' biggest issue was their defense really as a whole on passing and running. So I think it can't hurt them, and it just made them all that stronger.
And you look at it also.
I'm not scared.
Yeah, and tell them, Dev. At the end of the day, you look at Commanders. I understand the Commanders. You look at everything, in a nutshell. I get it. You've got a new organization from top to bottom, new ownership, new coach, a new mindset, a new, they're trying to build a culture there, and and it's going to take a while. They got a new quarterback. I mean, he has been balling. How long until the NFL catches up? I mean, we're talking about Cliff Kingsbury, who has really a college-based type of mindset, offense, and eventually NFL defensive coordinators get paid millions of dollars to stop these systems, and they'll get around to it.
Oh, buddy.
More. More Jay Daniels gets on film, the more and more they'll see the little idiosyncrasies.
Bleeds Eagle green.
No,
he ain't gonna get Washington. Listen, we gotta take a break. But he ain't gonna get Washington.
I'll finish this dissertation when we get back.
No credit.
I'm gonna give this.
When we come back, we're gonna talk about another team, maybe the biggest move of the entire trade deadline. And, Dev alluded to it. I want to talk about the team that didn't make a move and what that's going to do to them. The Eagles, the San Francisco 49ers. There's a few teams that didn't make a move where you go, you probably needed one. All right, this is a Sunday spread. Mr. Eagle, Mr. Green, Mr. Trash Talk, Mr. I'm not going to give anybody credit unless it's the Philadelphia Eagles, Barrett Brooks, Devin Caney, Sean Bell. Welcome back to the Sunday spread. Once again, Devin Caney with got the Allen Iverson step over. Got a nice little setup over there, Dev. I feel like your setups, when you're not here, the setups are much better for you. It's just better lighting, better scenery in the back.
To not come to the studio from now.
No, I'm trying to make it so we all go to your setup.
Yeah,
like let's all go to Devin's house or Devin's or where she do it last time at the beach. At the beach spot, because that's just lighting.
Her lighting is
set
amazing.
Up like Dev, invite us over so we can record wherever you're at.
I mean, it's
every freaking time.
It's perfect. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at it. It bounces off your skin, just
right.
Oh my god!
Great.
Thank you so much, guys. These kind words. Yeah, look, everyone is invited over to my teeny tiny office that barely fits a desk next.
All right.
Hey, we'll figure it out. Yeah, me and Barrett are both 6'5", and
right.
We'll figure it out.
I wear a size 15. You'd be like, they'd be like, you're stepping on my toe. Get off my toe.
Back to trade talk. Mr. Eagle over here giving Washington no credit. There's one last trade that happened that I went go, okay, gotta be a little bit worried about that, okay? Because the Lions are missing one thing. They're missing a bunch of things, actually. I think their defense has some weaknesses, as you always point out, Barrett Brooks. But Aiden Hutchinson goes out. That's a huge hole. They get a Pro Bowler. Zadarius Smith comes in. Now with the Lions, that changes a little bit, right? Because they were already the best team in the NFC so far this season, and they just got them back a pass rusher. Barrett, that move, what does that do for Detroit?
It puts them right back on top where they started off at. You're talking about a team that's, just like I said, they had, arguably, a top 3 offensive line in the league. And the only thing that they really lacked was, a decent running game on the offensive side of the ball. Well, now they have the best running game, one of the best running games in the conference. But then defensively, I make a lot of jokes, talking about, Aaron Glenn and his ability to call defenses. But hey, he's got these guys, playing pretty well. Pascal is hurt a little bit, and he's the guy that was supposed to be out there. But Zadarius Smith's coming in, and I think he kind of solidifies that guy that offensive coordinators are going to have to game plan. And when you have to game plan him, it opens it up for everything else. I like the linebackers. The linebackers can run. Campbell's one of the best, better linebackers in the league. Anzalone also. So I think they're starting to, set their pace. They're playing playoff caliber football right now. They're getting to what they need to go into the playoffs. Getting playoff ready, and that's probably the best thing they could have done is go out there and really put themselves in position to get a pass rusher. Now you're not necessarily worried about Aiden Hutchinson not being there. They have found somebody there. May not be as good as him, but he will give you healthy pass rush and put some heat on a quarterback. So I think he kind of completed. They went out and completed what they needed to do for their defense.
Devin, how much of the needle does that move for you?
It certainly moves the needle a bit. I mean, the Lions are looking like the most dominant team, at least in the NFC. They're going to be a problem. I think their offense is already rolling, and obviously with the loss of Hutchinson, they had kind of a hole there, and it fills that. I think their secondary and pass defense still is a bit of a weakness, but like that's nitpicking. Like this Lions team is going to be hard to stop.
I mean, they got a young secondary too. They're Terry and Arnold. I believe is going to be really good. He's a little touchy-feely, grabby right now.
He gets so many flags.
right. You know what I'm saying? But he'll eventually fall into where he needs to be, getting them early reps like our guys. But at the end of the day, I really think Campbell has these guys pointed in the right direction. The mentality's in the right direction. They're playing playoff caliber football, running the ball consistently, not putting everything on your quarterback. And the offensive line is playing at an elite level. So, you look at what they're asked to do on the defensive side of the ball. I think, them getting Zadarius Smith really helps them out a lot.
Now, we got to talk about underdogs, but first we got to talk about who didn't make a trade, because both the teams that we root for made no trades. And I think neither one of us are very happy about that, because I think both the 49ers and the Eagles need a bit of a boost if they want to get to the level that they need to get to. Devin, I'll start with you. The Eagles didn't make a trade. How'd that make you feel? And does it, I don't know, does it affect your thought process of them being able to win it all?
So it doesn't bother me as much as I feel like it actually doesn't bother, at least from what I've seen, a lot of people in Philadelphia. I think that this Eagles defense is really impressing a lot of people. Vic Fangio seems to have gotten the best out of this young talent. I mean, the Eagles haven't had such a young, up-and-coming secondary in so long, like probably in over a decade, if not more. They've got Cooper DeJean, who is playing like the third best cornerback in coverage since he became a starter. You have Quinyon Mitchell. These guys are rookies, and they're already playing their butts off. So my initial thought was that they didn't feel a need to make a trade because they had already traded for Jahan Dotson. They traded away a third rounder, and it didn't really pan out. In the past 2 seasons, whenever they've made a trade, and they have been for defensive players at the deadline, last year was safety Kevin Byard. The year before that, it was Robert Quinn from the Bears. They've been total busts. So I just think Howie Roseman and this team didn't really see a player that was worth trading away, more high draft picks for. And I'm okay with that. I think that they're playing really well. They're playing, like, you look at the Eagles' defensive numbers, really since like week 3 or since their bye especially, and it's hard to find things to complain about.
It is hard.
You feel the same?
I mean, I do. I really think that the defensive coordinator, he's finally at a place where he's starting to see how to use the talent that he has already in the locker room. He hasn't really found, like I say, that boss pass rusher that you have to, the offensive coordinators are losing sleep over. They don't have that guy. But they do have guys that can rush the passer and at times, when they really need it, they got, BG, they've got, Sweat. These guys can definitely take it up. But he's found an interesting way of using the linebackers and highlighting their ability to rush the passer. Both Bond and Dean have really done a great job at green dog, and green dogging means when they have the running back man-to-man and have running back blocks, the quarterback instantly becomes the linebacker's man, and he shoots in, and he's able to get a sack there. He's found that nice little chemistry, but the biggest thing, he plays his secondary a lot closer, a lot tighter now, which gives this defensive line an opportunity to rush the passer better and gives them that much more of a second to get there. I just think that he hasn't fully committed to all the players and putting them in great positions because, I mean, I don't know how we have a guy that, I mean, Huff is getting $51 million for 4 years. And this guy only has a sack and a half. He didn't play. He only played 6 snaps last week because his wrist hurt. His hand hurts.
That's why I felt like the Eagles needed to make a trade, right? Like the Eagles needed to make a trade because they don't have a game record on defense.
Nope.
Right? Like they don't have like
They do. They
have good players on
interior
defense.
core.
Yeah, but he's not to the point of at any given time I can get a sack fumble or I can get an interception. I can like something that like they have good players and players that can make the Pro Bowl, but I'm talking about game records. A guy who can completely change the game. They don't have that. To me, they needed a Zadarius Smith. They needed somebody of that because to me, Josh Sweat and those guys only get pressure in bad games. Because when they're playing good teams, I don't really see Josh Sweat get pressure. So I feel like they needed a game record. You look at 2022, and when they went to the Super Bowl, what happened? All right, our interior line, there's a problem. Let's go get Ndamukong Suh and Wendell Joseph. In 2017, they said, let's go get Jay Ajayi. I don't like our running game right now. We need some depth. Like, I think they needed to make a move they're still going to go to the playoffs and maybe win a game, but go Super Bowl level. I feel the same way about the 49ers. I feel like the 49ers in-house have all that stuff, but they're too hurt. So they need depth.
Well, you guys are starting to get healthy now, though.
They are starting to get healthy, but still, like, with all those injuries, you don't know who's going out. So I would like to see them get another starter that can, if someone else goes down, okay, you have enough depth. And they did add a backup defensive tackle, but see, to me, that's not enough. Last year, they went to the Super Bowl. They added Chase Young. And Chase Young played really well down the stretch for them. The year before that, before the trade deadline, they added Christian McCaffrey and got to the NFC Championship. Right? There's consistently teams, those big teams made trade moves at the deadline to get to the best points. Just like, again, you add DeAndre. Everybody else who's a contender added somebody. D-Hop. With the Kansas City Chiefs.
I can't believe he just came in
absolutely crazy.
The first game.
Right? And then the Baltimore Ravens add a receiver. They didn't even really need a receiver, but add something. I just would have liked to seen both the Eagles, since I cover them, add something to add to the situation, and the San Francisco 49ers. Let's get to underdogs, right? We do this, and again, it's been a big underdog season. Underdogs have been winning a lot. I'm talking about 6 underdogs, 7 underdogs, 8 underdogs in 1 week. So let's get to the best underdogs of the week. Dev, I'm going to start with you. You look at the schedule. What's the underdog that's plus something that you feel like can get a dub?
So I mentioned it in the first segment. I like the Steelers over the Commanders. I know that the Commanders just added Marshawn Lattimore and that, Jaden Daniels and their offense is rolling. The Steelers have a top 5 defense in the league. They're holding teams to the 3rd lowest points in the league. I think that's a good matchup for this Commanders offense, who's putting up a lot of points every game. But the Steelers offense has also started to look a lot better as well since they brought in Russell Wilson as their starting quarterback. They're getting a lot more yards through the air, but also Najee Harris getting a lot of production on the ground. He's had 74 yards per game. He's had 3 straight games with 100+ yards. They're coming off a bye as well, so they're rested. And what I always say, I said this in week 1, I'll say it again in week 10, the Steelers' secret weapon is Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin cannot ever be underestimated. I know that this isn't a home game, but I just like the matchup of a rookie quarterback against guys like TJ Watt. I was about to call him JJ Watt. TJ Watt and that Steelers defense. I mean, we saw what happened when the Commanders played the Ravens. I think it's going to be a similar situation here with the Steelers.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that either. I'm liking the Steelers too, especially them they upgraded on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, I'm loving that. Just another pass rush. They're like greedy. They already have 2 ironclad Highsmith and and Watt. Then you turn around, you bring in somebody else. I mean, just being greedy. I mean, that's what you want. You want a team. But right now, a team in which I just think they're just getting totally disrespected. I mean, Kyler Murray has made some things happen, man. So for them to be underdogs versus the lowly Jets, come on, are you kidding me?
I think the Jets are underdogs. Am I wrong about that? Or the Cardinals are underdogs? Or is that even?
I think it's even. Okay, I'm sorry. Wait, whoa.
I could be wrong.
It's like that one. It's like a pick 'em. It keeps flipping back and forth.
Yeah, well, I had it. It looked like the Jets.
The Cardinals are underdogs.
The Cardinals are underdogs.
Yeah. It's +1, so it's the slimmest of the margins. Okay.
So and they're at home. You get 3 at home automatically. So to me, it's just totally disrespect. Jets I don't know what the Jets are doing, man. I mean, the Jets are doing Jets things, and I just had higher expectations. He's from them. Aaron got his guy, and they're still not doing anything. It's not to me. It's just totally disrespectful. 5-4. Then you got the Jets 3-6, and they're favored in Arizona over a Cardinals team that just blew somebody out. This is totally disrespectful. I think that's the game that nobody's talking about. That is just easy money. I mean, easy money.
I can see that. I mean, again, last week, I think that this week will be the same as last week. And again, I know the underdogs have been underdogging and getting it done, but last week it was 14-1 for the favorites. So the favorites really dominated last week. I think it's going to be a similar week this week where you have 12-2, something of that nature. Where you have only 2 or 3 underdog teams really get a dub. And this may be cheating because it's similar to the Cardinals Jets, where it's just like, that's +1. It's not really an underdog. It's almost even. I'm going with the Dolphins. I mean, we talked about earlier, and Dev talked about it. You can get a great Rams team. You can get a bad Rams team.
Yeah.
You don't know which one you're going to get. And the Miami Dolphins, now that they have Tua back, have been picking it up a little bit. Okay, all of a sudden, again, I picked Tyreek Hill to have +75. Okay, Tyreek's getting his yards. Things are getting back going. Their offense is starting to get a little bit of a rhythm right now. So I can see the Miami Dolphins upsetting a Ram team that, once again, is flip-floppy. A team that's not consistent in what they're doing and consistent in their performance. So in Miami, I think are going to be on their way up. I don't think they're going to challenge to make the playoffs or anything like that, but I think they're going to be more of what they were last year in their ability to score a lot of points now that Tua is in there and now that Tua has a little bit of rhythm.
Another game, man. We just talked about how good the Lions are, how they are on pace to getting ready for the playoffs and everything. I don't know if you could just really just blow off the Texans like that. I mean, favorites by 3.5. I'm really teeter-tottering on. I really think the Texans might have
it. That's one of the biggest games of the week. We're going to talk about that later. Nico Collins might be back for that game. And
exactly. Yeah.
DeMeco Ryans is a hell of a defensive coordinator. I know he ain't got the defensive personnel that he wants this year, but he's a hell of a defensive coordinator. So if he can figure out if the Lions become one-dimensional, if you can slow down their run. I know Jared Goff has played great, but
can he carry the team?
Can he carry the team this year? I don't know about that. Listen, when we come back, it's parlay time. It's Devin Caney time. It's the Queen's time. We're going to go over our touchdowns last week and go over who we think is going to get in the end zone. Hey, you won't get a Saquon Barkley clip from me this week to cut Kenny. I will not be denying
We've seen enough of Saquon.
I will not be denying him again, even though, every week that I root for him, he doesn't get in. Then when I say, stay away from him, then he gets it.
Right.
Thanks, Jalen Hurts, touchdown merchant. Sunday spread. We'll be right back. Welcome back to week 10 of the Sunday spread. Devin Caney, Sean Bell, Barrett Brooks on the BetQL network, presented by BetMGM. It's touchdown time. It's parlay time. These are always the ones that can get you the most money. It's always the ones that can ruin your parlay. It's always the one. But we got a special promo for you. As always, second chance TD is needed because I'm telling you what, there's a lot of money that's been lost when I picked the first. Devin's pretty good at this. I'm pretty bad at this when it comes to who's going to score first. With the BetMGM's Pro Football Second Chance, they're giving you a second chance on first TD bets this season. Place any first touchdown scorer wager, and if your player doesn't score first, but scores second, guess what? Get your money back. No opt-in required. That's the type of stuff that I like to hear because I am often wrong on this because for me, when I pick it, it's a random tight end. It ain't the main. It's someone random. And I'm like, come on, man. Hey, this person doesn't even touch the rock like that. That's what happens. That's the type of luck that I have. So, Dev, I'm going to go to you because you take this type of bet a lot, and you've been successful at it. Do you have a first-time touchdown scorer that you would use this promo for, or just your anytime touchdown people in general?
Wait. First-time touchdown scorer or first scorer of a game?
First scorer of the game. Excuse my language.
Okay. Well, I don't. I need to look further into it. I don't have anything for that. You're putting me on the spot there. I do
My
have
bad.
3 anytime touchdown scores that I like. And I promise I don't intentionally do themes, but this week's unintentional theme is running backs. Najee Harris, sticking with the Steelers. We love
Come
this is a
on now.
Steelers
Come
show.
on now.
This
Come on
is
now.
like a Pittsburgh show.
Yep.
Najee Harris, anytime touchdown. Washington's run defense, bottom of the league. The Commanders allow the 5th most rushing touchdowns to the position, and Najee Harris has really been playing well under that kind of new look Steelers offense. And then James Conner from the Cardinals and Jets game. The Jets defense have been allowing quite a bit of rushing yards. RB1 from their last few opponents has gone for over 90 yards on the ground. And they've had a rushing touchdown in the last 3 of their 4. And then Joe Mixon from the Texans. He's had 4 straight games with 100 or more rush yards. Lions run defense hasn't been a strength of theirs, even though they are playing really well. And Lions run defense has allowed a rushing touchdown in their last 3 of 4 games. So Najee Harris, James Conner, Joe Mixon.
And those are the 3 teams I've been harping on all show. The 3 teams. Mm-hmm. Steelers, Cardinals, Texans. You read my mind.
Well, I also feel like Joe Mixon is a player that we haven't really
talked about. You're right.
He was injured to start the season, but he's been playing really, really well. I think the Lions offense as a whole just had a really underwhelming game last week. Did I just say the Lions? I mean the Texans. But I think Joe Mixon has been like really helping that offense on the ground because that was something that they needed. So he's been playing well. I like him getting in the end zone for sure on this Sunday.
Well, you know what I like. I'm gonna stay with the Steelers. You took my first one, so I'm gonna go with George Pickens. Anytime touchdown. I really think that's something. That at this point he's starting to show that he's becoming a mature receiver in this league. He does a lot of stupid stuff. He's kind of calmed that down now. Now that he has another guy opposite him and Mike Williams, I really think he'll really take over just to show he's still the alpha dog there.
I gotta cut you off for a second. You ever seen the video of George Pickens blocking?
Yes. Lack thereof.
No, but I'm saying like there's blocks where he literally just jumps sideways, his entire body into a player. Like to get in their way. Like he's not even trying to hit someone or protect.
It's worse than quarterbacks.
He just throws his body like sideways violently into defenders. I'm like, what are you doing? It's hilarious.
Bro, he's worse than quarterbacks. He's worse than quarterbacks blocking. But he'll go get it though.
You can catch that rock.
Oh man, he'll go get it. And then I like anytime touchdown by Hop. I'm gonna steal yours. Yeah. Anytime touchdown by B Hop. You know, I'm gonna go with that. And then I've been thinking, man, I gotta stay with my guy Saquon. I mean, it's easy. I gotta go with Saquon.
Do you go with Saquon and Jalen? I'm gonna ask you and Devin that because Dev, you talked about it before. They got a history of both touching pay dirt. Do you go both, or do you parlay for both of those individuals in the same game?
I'm not gonna let you do it. Let's go, Jalen. They gonna get after Cam. Tell Cam you gonna have to get lower, son. You're blocking. You got to get lower. You make it happen by going lower. If he goes lower, anytime touchdown, my guy Jalen Hurts will make it happen. But I need Cam. You need to get a little bit lower. Come off the rock. I mean, Kelsey showed you the keys to doing it. Let's get back to getting it and doing it. So, yeah, I'm not going to fall.
So I was actually going to say Jalen getting in the end zone, but not on the tush push because Dallas is deep. Well, Dallas just as a whole has not been playing well. We know that. But their defense has really not been playing well against mobile quarterbacks. They're allowing 25 or more rushing yards to quarterback, like pretty much every quarterback that they've faced so far this season. So I kind of liked Hurts like taking off and just running one in cleanly, not necessarily a tush push. But either way, I think I would go Hurts over Saquon just because Saquon had 2 last week. And like at the game after the Packers game, I don't think he had a touchdown. He almost goes like every other week. I don't know. He's also like just a robot and unstoppable. So who says that Saquon can't get in the end zone? But if I had to choose between the two, I'd say Hurts. Why not take both?
Was that play maybe one of the greatest athletic plays you've ever seen? Like, where does that rank? Saquon, first of all, no one talks about that spin right before he hopped on.
Right.
It was a reverse. It was a reverse spin because he did it off a different leg.
Yep.
So he faked. It wasn't a regular spin move. It was a reverse spin because of the leg that he did it off of. And then to hop over someone backwards. I mean, just have y'all ever, like, where does that rank among just the athletic things you guys seen before?
I've only seen one play that I could say kind of trumps it a little bit. And that was Randall Cunningham, Giants game. It might have been Pepper Johnson when he hit him and knocked him back, and he went back on one leg, hopped back up there, and threw a touchdown to Jackson. That might have been the best offensive, play I've ever seen with athleticism.
Yeah.
To get hit like that, knock back, go down, almost fall down, keeps his balance, jump back up, and throws a dart to the tight end in the end zone. I'm like, yo, that's. But then I see this guy just.
Well, like, what is that?
Right, come on.
Why do you think to do that? Like, Dev, where does that rank? Like, I again, this wasn't a question on the rundown, but since we're talking about Saquon, we got to talk about him.
It might. I mean, I think it has to be at the top. I'm trying to think of other plays. There was another incredible offensive play in that game, though, by Devontae Smith. Had a great catch for his touchdown. But, like,
oh, yeah.
I mean, how do you compete with a guy who literally hurdled someone, fully cleared them backwards?
But hold on.
I just don't know how you can top that. Like, it's one of those plays, like, I'm still, anytime it shows up in my timeline on social, I mean, like, I'm going to watch it. I've watched it from every angle. My favorite is watching the Eagles sideline react to it. Everyone just like loses their minds collectively. I'm just still in shock that Saquon Barkley is here in Philly. Like, he's such a special player.
Right.
So we're lucky to have him. I just want to keep him healthy now. Like, I now it's getting to the point where I'm like, okay, like, that was impressive, but maybe let's start making business decisions.
Now you start to get scared, like, Saquon. All right, come on, man. Yeah. I know you're freaking all that. Like, I looked at you. Think about
and not showing off. Let's relax.
Like, okay, like
running out of bounds.
Exactly, and I think about obviously Odell's catch as a play that I went crazy on, a play that no one talks about because it was an incompletion. Patrick Mahomes had a play in the Super Bowl, and they showed it before where he threw a pass where he was vertical. Y'all remember what I'm talking? When he was vertical, he dove, slung it, and it was a dart to the player's hand, and the player dropped it, but he threw a pass vertical. And I'm gonna have one last mention.
Was that a right end? Was it right end?
He was scrambling right, and he dove. And ESPN Madden had it, so Madden had it on their cover. He was literally vertical. And the last play I'll say is this, and none of y'all know this play because only I was there for this play. In high school, I saw this kid. Talk about what I saw this kid do in high school.
I love this play. It's a classic.
His name's Andre Callender. He went on to play football in Boston for Boston College with Matt Ryan. Andre Callender played basketball. He did hurdles. Freak athlete. Just freak athlete. He hurdled a basketball. We were on the basketball court. Again, this is he wasn't the starter, so it was a little bit of garbage time. So we watched on the bench. He hurdled a guy trying to take a charge. When I say hurdle, like, you watch the hurdles in the Olympics, that's what he did. He took a dribble, hurdled a guy, and then went for the layup. He missed the layup because, he wasn't, inclined, but hurdled an individual on a basketball court. I said, what in the athletic freak is that? So those are top 3 or 4 plays that I could think of. Let's go back to these touchdowns real quick. I think, Dev, you gave yours. Barrett, you gave yours. I'm going to give a sneaky guy coming out of nowhere. The Giants. Tyrone Tracy Jr., running back for the Giants, starting to get a little bit of time.
Speed,
right? Again, 2 games ago against the Steelers. 20 carries, 145 yards, and a touchdown. Last game, 16 carries against the Commanders, only has 16, has 66 yards. This is a guy that they're starting to lean on, and they're playing the Carolina Panthers today. Bad defense, bad team, a team that was selling at the trade deadline. So he's going to get a lot of the carries, and I think he's going to get it in the end zone because they found a new player to lean on. Obviously, it's throw Malik Neighbors the ball, both throw Malik Neighbors the ball. But I think Tyrone Tracy is going to be a sneaky individual that you can get now at plus 100 that you'll find in 3-4 weeks is going to get into the minuses. It's going to be minus 100 because they're going to use him that much. And against bad teams, I feel like this kid is going to eat and this kid is going to get touchdowns. So a sneaky one for you guys to think about and to throw out there. Like I said before, DeAndre Hop, I'm with that too. I'm with him getting another touchdown. Christian McCaffrey's back. He got a touchdown every game last season. Every game.
So you don't think it's going to change, huh?
I think he's still going to get a bunch of carries. Mind you, they're going to be soft with him. Like, hey, Christian, we don't want you to do too much. But I do think they're going to make a conscious effort to try to get him in the end zone and really get him feeling good and feeling right about the team. So I think Christian McCaffrey goes ahead and get a touchdown. And
he's a freak.
J.K. Dobbins, he's been pretty consistent for me. They're playing the Titans. The Titans are a bad team. Also a team that's like, we're done at the trade deadline. This, whatever. We're not really going to be able to compete. This is a rebuild situation. We're going to have a top 6 draft pick. J.K. Dobbins, the Chargers, they lean on that run game, even though they're giving Justin Herbert way more throws. He's starting to get 250, 300. That's a guy to look at for passing yards also in the future. But I think J.K. Dobbins is going to go out there and get a touchdown. So those are the individuals that I'm looking for. And again, sneaky. Dev, I just think running backs are running backs. Like, I know it ends up being a theme, but they end up being the individuals getting all the points for me. I don't know about y'all. They make me a lot of money.
Yeah, it's kind of been a theme this season, right? Like it started out as like one of the historically low passing seasons. We all equated it to, lack of players and starters participating in preseason. But I also just think it's kind of the style of offense we're seeing a lot across the league this season. So
yes, because defenses have gotten small to combat the pass. Now teams are like, all right, you guys want to go small now? Well, we're going to go with our running game. And those guys aren't big enough, right? Running backs are bigger than – bro, you look at Saquon. Saquon what? 230, 235. And then you look at these linebackers. They got linebackers right now 235 too.
You got edge rushers at 235.
Right. Now. So, they're getting smaller to rush the pass. So, all right, what you going to do? We're going to stay big with the offensive line and block you. Linebackers are too small. Defensive linemen are too small. That's almost why you see guys, starting to retire a little earlier now. The defensive linemen are like, man,
too much nowadays. All right, let's take a beat. When we come back, it's alternative times. Who's the plus 175? Who's gonna get 125 yards? Who's gonna get 150 yards? Who's going to have a big day? So we're gonna bring our producer in, Kenny Henderson, to tell us some of the individuals he's looking at that we can go get an alternative on. All right, this is the Sunday Spread on the BetQL Network. Welcome back to the Sunday Spread. Devin Caney, Sean Bell, Barrett Brooks, presented by BetMGM on the BetQL Network. It's alt-time. Big stuff. 125, 150 yards, 300 passing. We need those big-time bets because they make you a lot of freaking money along with your touchdown parlay. So we're going to bring in our producer, Kenny Henderson. Kenny, bring us in. What do you think is going to be big this week?
Well, I'm looking at a guy who looks like he's back on Monday Night Football, had 14 receptions, and I heard you guys like DeAndre Hopkins in this game. I don't necessarily, because I think that Hopkins will see a lot of Pat Surtain, who's probably the best cornerback in football. He's healthier now. He was battling injuries a few weeks ago. Travis Kelce, 75-plus yards at plus money at plus 175. Barrett, what do you think about that?
Oh, I like it. Just like you said, he's starting to, get back into the fold now. Now that he has a receiver out there that could draw coverage, that you have to, kind of concentrate on with Hopkins, it just gives Kelce more reign in the middle of that field to do what he does best, And, I never worried about Kelce and the chemistry that he has with his quarterback, man. But at this point, it's perfect, that, they're going to pull coverage away. They're going to have the roll coverage to Hop, which is going to open up for these younger guys also. So I think Travis Kelce plus 75, that's a good bet.
Oh, is it my turn? Am I going?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. I am going to pass on this one just because he's coming off of a big game. He had 100 receiving yards. And Travis Kelce is no spring chicken anymore. I think it's kind of a quick turnaround for them because they played Monday Night Football. And Denver is a really good secondary. They have a really good pass defense. So I think that Kansas City is probably going to have to rely a little bit more on their run game. So I don't like this. I would say like maybe Travis Kelce 50 plus, but 75 is a little too high for me.
You know, watching Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce pisses me off for many reasons, but it's just.
What? Because the Chiefs are the most like 5-3 undefeated team I've ever seen. Like,
right.
Because
that
watching them.
That also, but y'all just look slow and unathletic. Like nothing about Travis Kelce's game looks fast, dominating, nothing. He just looks like he just slowly gallops and no one can catch him or no one can guard him. You're not fast. Patrick Mahomes has a dad bod in a gut, and he out here would potentially being the GOAT. Like, it just annoys me. Granted, I am.
They look like two plumbers, don't they? Like,
yes.
they're two trash men. Just
My
average guys.
I am a regular civilian. So they are more athletic than me, faster than me. But in comparison to everyone else, it just annoys me. Like, why can't you catch that guy?
Right.
Why can't you keep him in front of you? Why is Patrick Mahomes running? Like, Patrick Mahomes having random 30-yard runs or random 15. Like, what?
Well,
how is he doing? He has a dad bod, so it pisses me off. I'm sorry.
But you know what really irritates me the most, though? The way he wears his helmet. I just hate the way he wears his helmet. I hate
Patrick Mahomes.
Yes, Patrick Mahomes. I hate the way he wears his helmet.
Why does he put his head like that? I don't understand. It doesn't seem like it could pass like NFL safety protocol.
Right.
It's just
Dev, you get it right. That's what is
so
that?
dorky.
Yep.
I don't
But
understand it either.
But I would tease it up like right now, Kenny. If you tease that up to 90, you know what I'm saying? What would you get then? Because I mean, to me, it's worth the bet. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I teased it up.
Well, let me just say,
tease that up.
Yeah, I'll take 75 for sure. He's had 190 in the last 2 weeks. It seems like he's getting his groove. Seems like he got another wide receiver on the outside to free some things up for him.
Yep.
So I do think Travis Kelce is coming on. He's coming on strong. So I do think 75 is going to be in his wheelhouse, and he'll have something like 80, 87, 88. So I don't know about the teasing it up to maybe 100, but I do think 75 is a good bet. What you think?
BetMGM is offering plus 360 for 100 plus yards. Which he got last week on that 14 receptions. The only thing I'm concerned about in this game is if the Chiefs blow them out, and they're not going to need Kelce to get to that mark. But I think if they do, which I mean, Kansas City's played a lot of close games this year, and the Broncos, they're still trying to keep their season alive at 5-4. They need a win, even though it's probably not likely. You'd have to assume in a divisional game that they're going to try to play them tight. I know Devin said that their pass defense is really good, but the thing that you guys mentioned is Travis Kelce just finds a way to get open in the middle of the field, and Patrick Mahomes knows where he's going to be. And so 75 plus yards seems like, I don't think they've adjusted because his regular line is 56.5. I think they're still thinking that Travis Kelce is back to what he was doing at the beginning of the year where he was really struggling to get going. I think he's there, and him and Mahomes really want to get that 17-0, 20-0 Super Bowl. And he's going to be right there for him every single game to try to accomplish that. So I really like Travis Kelce in this game and moving forward as well. And we'll see if the books adjust, because this 56.5 number is not something we saw for most of his career. He's been a guy who's 7 for 80 almost every single game he plays.
Yep.
So we'll see if that continues coming off the 14 reception game. Devin, I'll start with you on this one. I'll try to get you on this one. Davante Adams is back for the Jets. Him and Rodgers said the connection's back. He's saying Rodgers has the run-the-table look. Cardinals defense bad against the pass. 100 plus yards is plus 300, or if you want to just go with 75, which he was able to get last week, is plus 105. Devin, what do you think about Davante Adams?
I don't know. I think that my dislike for Aaron Rodgers and the Jets is like getting, and just like they're annoying antics. Like I feel like every week there's been another story about them. So because of that, I don't want to take it. But sure, Kenny, I'll take this one. Why not? Just given the Cardinals' poor, or not great. I won't say poor, not great pass defense. The Cardinals' overall defense, but especially their run defense, played really well against the Bears last week, I will say. And Davante Adams, I don't know if you guys saw, is like posting already at like one good game with the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, and he's posting like Tom Brady, Randy Moss photos. Like, all right, let's relax a little bit here. Let's bring it down a notch. But sure, I'll take this one.
I'm out, man. I can't. I'm not taking it. They stink.
Right,
Aaron Rodgers
right.
can't It's not like he posted as if they had a 30-point outburst last week. You scored 21, dog. Let's relax. And Garrett Wilson has been the superstar.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like they're acting like they're gonna go win the Super Bowl now, and like
Right.
Yeah, and Garrett Wilson had to make a couple spectacular individual catches in order for it to be that way. It wasn't like it was a cruise control type of situation. It wasn't like, hey, Aaron Rodgers put it exactly where he needed to put it. No, it had to be one-handed, spectacular grabs with spectacular footwork for Garrett Wilson to get those touchdowns. So I just don't see the Jets offense all of a sudden exploding. I know it's the Cardinals and they can let up a few things here and there, but I think the Cardinals are going to be a pretty good team. Again, you talked about it this entire time of them being a good competitive team. I don't see the Jets all of a sudden having an offensive explosion where Devontae and Garrett both have big games. I think if one of them's going to have a big game, I think it's Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, and I'm not even comfortable with the plus 75. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not. So now not even though plus 75, 105. I just can't see Devontae Adams. I mean, the looks that they give each other doesn't seem like they really cool. You know what I'm saying? Like they may be cool, but I see the looks. I'm like, man, they're barely friends. I'm like, I know he ain't over his house chilling with him because they're not getting it done. They're still not getting it done. So I'm gonna have to fade that.
What you think, Kenny?
Well, I think this is interesting because the books right now are offering Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson at very similar prices. They're actually both plus 105 to get 75. You'd have to believe that one of them is going to probably get to that mark in that plus money. It's just a matter of which one you like better. Sean, I heard you say that you think Garrett Wilson would be the guy. Garrett Wilson did have the 2 touchdowns. He went 9 for 90 last week. I just like to play into to Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers fully having that connection. I remember years ago when the Packers would go 13-3 every year, Devontae Adams would score a touchdown every game. That was like a big moneymaker for me. So I have a soft spot for Devontae Adams, especially when he's got Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback. So I really like this because I think it's happening, and it's started to happen last week. And I think against a bad secondary in Arizona, that Adams and Rodgers will have that connection this week. But we'll see how that one plays out. Let's go to a star receiver who looks like he's got the best connection with his quarterback in the league. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Didn't have a huge yardage game last week, but he was able to find the end zone. Back playing in a dome off that rainy game in Green Bay. He's going to be going up against the Texans, who let Adams and Wilson both go off last week. Amon-Ra and Goff, we know about their connection. And Amon-Ra also has been great in prime time in his career. 100-plus yards, plus 240. Sean, what do you think?
I don't like it. He hasn't had big games over the last few weeks, right? Like he started off with a couple of big games, but again, 56 yards. He got injured the week before that, 7. Did have 112. What I like about him is anytime he's had, what is it, 6 straight games catching a touchdown. So he wasn't someone I was looking at before, but now that I'm looking at his stats, he's consistently gotten the end zone. So he may be the guy to look at for that, especially with Jameson Wilson out. So touchdown wise, I may add him at the end of the show as one of the best bets because he consistently is getting touchdowns, but he hasn't been consistent with getting a lot of yards, right? He's had games where he had over 100, but he's also had games like last week and weeks prior where it's 56 or 64. So I don't feel confident with that, especially because the Lions are an offense where you don't know who's going to get the rock. Don't know where they're going to lean on. They've leaned on the running game the last 2 weeks, which is why the wide receivers haven't really ate when it comes to yards. So if I think they're going to lean on the running game, like they leaned on the running game all year long. Again, he's had games with 37 yards, 45 yards, 75 yards, 13 yards. I don't feel confident with him in this game because Jared Goff may have a game where he just throws for 115 and they have 200 on the ground.
I thought Jameson Williams was supposed to be back this week.
He will be back this week.
He will be back? Yeah.
Amon-Ra, yeah. I like him.
You think you would bet this? You think you go for a plus 100?
I like him, but I don't like him that much. The only thing is, you talk about a pass rush of the Texans. That's where they make their hay. The first round draft choices out there rushing the passer. So, it'll be tough. They want to run the ball consistently. If they can run the ball consistently against the Texans, I guess, but I don't see him doing that. So 100 is being to me, I would have to fade this bet. I like him, but I don't like him that much for 100.
All right, Deb, what you think?
So because Jameson Williams is going to be back, and Sean, you mentioned that Amon-Ra St. Brown really hasn't, like, he had 56 yards last. I mean, Jared Goff hasn't even thrown for over 150 yards in 2 games back to back. So I just don't see him getting a single receiver over 100 receiving yards. And I still think the Lions are going to win. Like, I don't think that it's not going to be a productive offense, because we've seen the Lions just have so many different options. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, they can run it. They can do short passes. So because of that, I like Amon-Ra St. Brown getting the end zone as well, Sean, to your point, but I don't like this bet. So I'm not going to alt 100 or more receiving yards for Amon-Ra St. Brown.
All right, what else you got, Kenny? Got any more?
I was going to get into some alt spread picks. It doesn't seem like you guys are a big fan of some of my player props. But last note on Amon-Ra is that the Texans are trying Jalen Petrie in the nickel, which he's primarily a safety. And so he's been playing a lot of corner one-on-one matchups with guys in the slot. That's where Amon-Ra likes to do a lot of his work.
Yeah, that's where he lives.
You saw last week, Devontae Adams had Jalen Petrie one-on-one in the slot. He ran a nice fade ball, and Rodgers hit him. And I think this week Amon-Ra can just take advantage of that. And I know he hasn't had the yardage numbers this year, but I think in a dome game where they're going to need offense and they're going to need it from their best player, I think this is the game to target Amon-Ra for yards. You don't have to go 100. His normal line's in the 70s, so if you like that as well, I think that might be a good option. So I've got some alt spread picks looking for blowouts, because blowouts is something that's been happening in the NFL, especially when a good team plays a bad team. Go figure. The Minnesota Vikings guys will be playing against Mac Jones this week. The line has moved all the way from 4.5 to 6.5 as we speak. The news dropped a few hours ago as Trevor Lawrence is unlikely to play. Minus 12.5. The Vikings to win by 13 or more is plus 180 in this game. They are on the road, but we know the Vikings, very good football team, very well-coached football team. Jacksonville, not so much. Barrett, what do you think about Minnesota putting
I got you on that, man. I got you on that. All spread. You're right, man. The Vikings at this point, they need to settle down a little bit, and I think this is the game to do it. Defense has been awesome at this point. They're going to kick the field goals when they're supposed to kick the field goals. So, yes, Vikings, 12.5, plus 180. I think that's a good bet. I really do, because, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are finally at a point where, like, man, no mas.
I like it too. I think that this will be a blowout. The Jags were not a good football team, even with Trevor Lawrence. And now, with Mac Jones, and you look at their game against the Eagles, and yeah, they backdoor covered that, but I mean, it was a couple bad calls. It was some fluky plays. It's not, I think the score was closer than what their actual play reflects. And the Vikings are a really good team. And I think their defense is going to eat that Jags offense alive. So I like it.
I'm going to say no. And this is weird, because I feel like every time a backup quarterback in that first game, all of a sudden that backup quarterback looks good. It looks good. Whether you got James Winston, whether you got, it's just a couple of quarterbacks who stepped in for one game, you go, oh, they look good. And now it doesn't last very long because they're able to game plan. But if you got Mac Jones coming in, again, we've seen it over and over again, that just one quarterback and that one offense looked great. We saw with Andy Dalton with the Carolina Panthers, the only good game that they really had this year. So I can see that being the case here, where you go, we're not expecting much, and we sleep on them, and then boom, Mac Jones has a game where you go, oh, is he actually a good quarterback?
Hold on, what's his name? Mac Jones? No.
Hey,
Mac Jones?
Return to the Mac. I'm just saying, man. You never know. It's Return to the Mac. It's a classic song, and he could be classic in this game. Let's go ahead and take a break, because we got to come and talk about some of the biggest games of the week. The 49ers are back, and I don't see it on the rundowns that we're talking about the 49ers. Kenny, let's see, just this whole show hating on what I like, just hating on the teams that I want to root for. But we are going to talk about the biggest games of the week: Steelers, Commanders, Eagles, Cowboys, and much more. The Sunday Spread. We'll be back. We're back. Sunday Spread. Barrett Brooks, Devin Caney, Sean Bell, presented by BetMGM. let's get to the biggest games of the week. Let's break them down. So, Kenny, we're going to bring you back in to tell us what games we're going to be talking about. What do you have?
Let's start with maybe the best game of the whole entire weekend. The Steelers coming off a bye, going to Washington to play the Commanders. The Commanders currently a 3-point favorite. Over under is 45.5. The Commanders should have Marshawn Lattimore, as well as the Steelers getting Mike Williams and Preston Smith acclimated into the lineup. Russell Wilson undefeated since he's been the starter of the Steelers. Look like that offense is a little bit unlocked. Barrett, who are you going with in this Steelers-Commanders matchup?
This is probably, you're right. This will be one of the best games of the week. When you look at it on paper, it looks like the Commanders, with the way they're working and everything, that it's going to be an easy match for them. But I mean, I have to say, the Commanders at this point, they've been playing well, but this is a defense of defenses. These guys know how to rush the pass. They know how to contain a quarterback that runs a lot. They'll zone blitz them. So I'm kind of looking towards the Steelers, man. I mean,
you got that ring. You got to.
Not to be a homer, or anything, but I might have to go with the Steelers today, and give us a little break. Maybe we can tie it up in the division in the NFC East. So I'm looking for the Steelers to go out there and make an impact. That defense against a rookie quarterback, I see some good things going on with that Steelers defense. Oh, I think I got this out of the biggest Cracker Jack box they make. Mm-hmm. They just get these out, Steelers, Super Bowl ring, that's all. Yes. Steelers, baby, let's go.
Dev, who you got?
So they were my underdog pick in our first segment. Second segment, I really like the Steelers. Whether you want to take them outright or even +3 against the Commanders. I mean, we look at the Commanders against the Ravens a couple weeks ago. I think it's going to be a very similar situation where when they face a big boy defense, that Commanders team is brought back down to earth. That Commanders offense, because that is their only strength. Their defense, they did get Marshawn Lattimore, but overall their defense is not strong. They don't have enough talent, I think, to compete with a defense as stout as Mike Tomlin's Steelers defense. I mean, Steelers second in league in points allowed per game. Their defense is great against the run. They're great against mobile quarterbacks. And now the Steelers offense is finally starting to click and look like a multifaceted offense, right? Najee Harris really heating up. I have him for an anytime touchdown. They have George Pickens. They just added Mike Williams from the Jets as another option for Russell Wilson to get the ball to. And Russell Wilson playing really well. He hasn't thrown a pick. He's thrown over 270 yards per game, over 110 rate so far. So I just really like the Steelers in this matchup against the Commanders.
And I did mention to say that they're starting a rookie, Newton from Illinois, really good defensive player, but I don't know if he's ready to be a starter right now in that Washington defense because Jonathan Allen is on IR right now. That's huge. Payne and Allen have been playing together for the past 4 years. You know what I'm saying? Two Alabama boys. First time they haven't been playing together. I think that means a little something. So, that front four isn't as good as it usually is. So that's why I'm going with the Steelers also.
Yeah, Steelers win this game. I mean, the Russell Wilson thing is, again, we've talked about Russell Wilson. I've had my my disbelief in Russell Wilson, but he's unlocked something for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So now you're giving him another weapon. He's played really good, safe football consistently, and I think the Steelers' defense is going to be able to punch Washington in the mouth, right? Show them something they haven't seen before and show them a defender in T.J. Watt that they haven't seen before. And it's Mike Tomlin coming off a bye. Like, anytime you give a great coach an extra week and now we're well rested and we're comfortable.
That's right. That's right.
And we're feeling good coming off of a bye. Yeah, I'm going to go with that team because that team, again, I don't care who it is around the league, whether it's Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan, like any good coach coming off a bye that has a solid team is going to be prepared and going to win that game. So I'm picking the Pittsburgh Steelers because of Russ and the offense opening it up and because they're coming off a bye. What you got, Kenny? What you think?
Yeah, I love the Steelers, guys. I think that this is a little bit too much over adjustment on all the Commanders hype. Obviously, they've played well. Just to think about if this matchup was, week 1, week 2, the Steelers would definitely be favored, even though they're on the road. And obviously, it's not that early in the season. The Commanders have proven that they're a good team. They're well coached. But with that being said, all the points you guys said, Steelers coming off a bye, the defense. I mean, Jaden Daniels, is he going to be able to go the whole game with this Steelers defense? Not to say that he's going to get injured. It's just like TJ Watt and these guys coming off the edge. It's just not something that he's seen yet in his NFL career. I think we could see Jaden Daniels either struggle or even potentially struggle to finish the game with some of these guys on the Steelers defensive front. So, I mean, with the way he puts his body at harm, I'm very concerned. I'm a huge Jaden Daniels fan, but
I am
that's
too.
something that you have to look for, especially if you look at the Steelers defense being able to have 2 weeks to prepare for Jaden Daniels running around. They're ready for it. I think the Steelers win this game outright, and I think 3 points is a very good bet as well. I think, like I said, we just over-adjusted the Commanders a little bit too much here, and I expect the Steelers to get a victory. Let's go to Sean's 49ers. He mentioned it. I didn't even put it down in the rundown at first, but I just added in there because I think this is a really interesting game. A lot of people excited about what the Bucs can do after they took the Chiefs right to the brink at the end there without their top receivers, Evans and Godwin. But now they're up against it here. The 49ers look like they're fully healthy. They're coming off a bye as well. The line is -6, over under 50.5. Sean, are the Niners getting a win coming off the bye this week?
Yeah, I think before we're going to talk about it, alternative 10. It's a double-digit win. I mean, again, the 49ers are going to have a double-digit win. I mean,
you're teasing them up, huh?
There's no Mike Evans, right? Like, they don't have their explosive offensive weapons. I just talked about teams coming off a bye. Kyle Shanahan don't play coming off a bye. Just like any really good coach coming off a bye. Now they're healthy. Now you got Christian McCaffrey back. Now you have a bunch of guys just being able to come back and help that. A couple offensive linemen. Feliciano is coming back. Like, their team is coming back, and they're going to be relatively healthy. So they're still waiting on Talanoa Hufanga. But he may be out the rest of the season, but not the rest of the season, but until late in the season. But they're getting guys back. So because they're getting guys back and they're healthy, and you're facing a Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that just isn't healthy, I expect this to be a solid victory for the 49ers. Again, they've had a bunch of troubles coming into the season. Jake Moody, their kicker, is back. Right? Like
that's huge.
They finally have their A1 kicker, right? So it just, again, everything is coming back. They're coming off a bye. Again, a good team coming off a bye. I'm picking you to beat 90% of teams in the league. So, and that goes with the Lions, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Eagles. Coming off a bye, you should get a dub, and I think they'll get a confident dub in this game.
That's just too much to battle against, man. Both your starting receivers are out. McMillan's been on the injury list. Jalen McMillan, he's on the injury list, rookie receiver. When you have to focus on Sterling Shepard being your guy, Ryan Miller, it's hard. It's really hard. So, I mean, I just think they'll be able to run the ball even with Vita Vea being in there, who's been balling, and they got Kancey back on their defense. I just can't see. I can't see them. I still can't see them, even if CMC doesn't come back. I can't see them beating a 49er team that's coming off a bye, and Debo's gonna be the healthy he's been in 3 weeks.
Jawan Jennings is back.
Oh, yeah, it's a wrap.
You know what I mean? Like, their guys are back.
Yeah.
So they're going to resemble, and the 49ers do this. They start off the season when they have these injuries, 4-4, 3-5, maybe not where they're supposed to be, and then they go on second half runs where they went 8 in a row. They go 8-1 and do things of that nature. So it starts with the Bucs. And again, this is a different opinion I have if the Bucs have their weapons, Mike Evans and Godwin's, because I do believe the Bucs are a really good team when healthy. They just don't. What you think, Dev?
So I like the 49ers. I don't know if it'll be a blowout. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey's full health and involvement in this game are going to be massive. And a healthy 49ers team is a scary thought, but you do have to credit the Bucs. They play up to their competition, actually statistically more than any other team in the league. Like, they have the highest strength of victory. They're the only team that's over 600 basically in combined winning percentage against teams that have a winning record. So I mean, they took the Chiefs to overtime. Chiefs are undefeated, and whether that's a deserved undefeated record or not, we can debate that another time. But point is, Tampa Bay plays up to their competition rather than the down, but they don't have their top 2 receivers. And against a fully healthy 49ers, it's hard to pick the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win. But this game's in Tampa Bay. I think it could be closer than a lot of people expect. So I think that they could cover that spread, but I think 49ers will ultimately win. I just don't think it's going to be a double-digit victory for the Niners.
Kenny, what you think?
I do think it's going to be a double-digit victory in this game because I think the Bucs truly gave all that they had in that Kansas City game, and now they're really up against it. And now the 49ers are coming in off a bye. I think Shanahan's probably one of the better coaches coming off a bye, along with Andy Reid as well. And I think he'll be fully prepared. And I think it'll really say something about this Niners team, who a lot of people expect to go on a run here with McCaffrey back and get into the playoffs. But that's still under question. If they are only able to escape this game or somehow lose, that would say a lot about the 49ers moving forward. Are they even going to make the playoffs? Because the West, we know how competitive that's going to be. We know that a lot of the other teams in the NFC are already ahead of the 49ers. So I think this is a huge game for the 49ers to make a statement. I expect them to do it because I trust Shanahan. And if CMC's back, I think that they're ready to go and go on that run. We'll just have to see if they're clicking on all cylinders right away in this matchup on Sunday. Now let's go to the Eagles, and I'm going to make a statement here about the Eagles. They're going up against the Cowboys. I feel as if them being 6-2 is probably one of the more stressful 6-2s I've seen. You guys agree with that?
Absolutely.
I feel like it's stressful for the Eagles to even get to 6-2. Like, they're 6-2, really good record, but it feels like it's been very stressful to get to that point.
It's
they're on a
always
4-game
stressful.
win.
Not really. But it hasn't really. So, like, this is, sorry to just swoop in and hijack this conversation here, but like, I was watching a national football program, and they're like, do the Eagles need to blow out the Cowboys in order to prove that they're, a playoff team and to prove that they're contenders? We have said this every single week of this season, it feels. It's like, well, if the Eagles want to prove that they're legit, they have to beat the Bengals. Okay, well, they went out and they really beat the brakes off the Bengals in the end. I know it was a close game up until third, fourth quarter, but they still beat them by multiple scores. They have to blow out the Giants. Okay, they did that. Yeah, Jacksonville was closer than we thought, but there were a few really bad calls that account for Jacksonville's points to make it close in the end there. So
I don't know.
I just think we maybe need to lay off. I think a lot of people are underestimating the Eagles at this point. Like, they haven't lost a game since the bye. Jalen Hurts hasn't turned the ball over since the bye. Their defense is playing incredibly well. I just think that we need to not set these standards week after week. Like, well, they need to crush the Cowboys in order for us to believe in them. Like, this team is on a winning streak, and they are 6-2, and I think they're going to keep on rolling against the Cowboys this weekend.
Thank you. But it's stressful. We make the stress. Everybody in our office, well, we make the stress because that's what we do. We're analysts, and we talk about, all the shortcomings and talk about, what you just put out there. The mere fact, no turnovers. They have caused turnovers. Those are the type of things we should be parading around here about. But the only thing we're talking about is, our head coach. We're not talking about what's going on the field. We're talking about our head coach and his ability to fourth down and kicking field goal. We talk more about that than anything. Yes, I do believe you don't take points off the board, but still, that's who we are in Philadelphia. We make our own soup. We put our own ingredients in there. I'm tired of national pundits going out there like myself right now and putting that narrative out there, okay? I get it. But at the end of the day, they're going to beat up on this Dallas team because they're supposed to. It's a bad rivalry, and it's about damn time we're starting to get on this and really talk about the Eagles and their defense. You know what I'm saying? The Eagles and their offense. The Eagles and their special teams. Let's talk about how good they are as far as in everything and how bad Dallas is. Let's just talk about that. Let's just go into that. Let's talk about how bad this Dallas team has been on the offensive side of the ball. Their lack of ability to go get a running game going. Their lack of ability to get a passing game going. Now their quarterback is out. Let's talk about that instead of talking about how bad Philadelphia has called the tush push, and we didn't work with the tush push and all that. I'm sorry.
Listen, I have questions for the Philadelphia Eagles. They're not going to be answered in this game because the Dallas Cowboys suck. Okay? Cooper Rush starting in this game, no Dak Prescott. Although Cooper Rush, 5-1 career starting record. So he's played well in substitute roles for the Dallas Cowboys. But the Dallas Cowboys ain't got the weapons.
Hold on, that was like 2 years ago when he went 5-1.
Just saying, I'm just giving you his record. That's all I'm doing. I'm giving you his record. His record is 5-1 as a starter. But it's not going to be tested. Again, the Cowboys are too flawed. Micah Parsons still out.
I think he is going to be back this game.
I don't see anything that says he's going to be back.
Well, I've heard through the grapevine.
Okay, all right. Maybe you've heard some things, but Micah Parsons still dealing with that. Maybe he plays. Maybe he doesn't play, according to Barrett Brooks. But again, they went out at the trade deadline and got a backup wide receiver. Like, what are you doing? They got Mingo from the Carolina Panthers. Like, he wasn't getting no burn there. Jerry, you thought that was going to be a good return? So CeeDee Lamb's frustrated. Their running back situation. What are we doing here? It's not explosive. You're not worried about it. They don't have anything you worried about on the offense or defensive standpoint. Now you're facing the Philadelphia Eagles who have literal freaks of nature. Okay, like freaks of nature. Like, I have questions about the Eagles because I question their head coach is timing. When he decides to go for two, when he decides not to go for two, when he decides to take field goals, when he decides not to take field goals. I have questions about that. I have questions about Jalen Hurts being able to fully read a complex defense and throw something over the middle. But right now, all they got to do is Saquon, do something freakish. A.J. Brown, do something freakish. Devontae Smith, do something freakish. And they win the game. And that's how they've won the last 4 or 5 games. You two step up and do something special. And that's what's going to happen against the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think this game is going to be particularly close either.
Oh, they haven't won. I think they haven't won there since, 18, 17?
They haven't won there in 6 years. Yeah. Jalen Hurts has never won there. And the Eagles haven't swept the Cowboys in both their games since 2011.
Yeah, but the Cowboys haven't been this bad in 6 or 7 years either.
Exactly. Yeah. So that changes this.
Kenny, what do you think?
I think this is the time where the Eagles do show that they're one of the better teams, but I just wouldn't take it from a betting perspective because I'm not putting my money on Nick Sirianni to blow a team out after last week. They were up 22-0.
He makes it hard.
I told you about getting our fishbowl up here, Kenny. I told you about that, man.
But I saw another. Sorry, I know we're out of time, but it was like, who's under more scrutiny, Nick Sirianni or Mike McCarthy? Okay, well, like I get it. Nick Sirianni can be frustrating, but one coach has won 4 games straight since the bye, and one coach's team is an absolute dumpster fire. So I don't know if that's a fair comparison.
It's not, but Nick Sirianni is a very unlikable person.
I know.
So that's why he's getting some of this smoke.
Not putting my money there. That's all I'm saying. I expect not my money.
We're gonna come back and
not
talk about some
money either.
Yeah, nobody's money. We're gonna come back and talk about some more big games, and then we'll get to our best bets of the week. This is the Sunday Spread. Welcome back to the final segment of the Sunday Spread, Week 10. Barrett Brooks, Devin Caney, Sean Bell on the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM. Kenny, we're going to bring you back in to talk about some more big games. What is next for us?
All right, we got an interesting one here with the first place Arizona Cardinals, or as many would say, Barrett's Cardinals. Well, at home against the Jets here. This line's been flipping back between. It's been around a pick 'em. Basically, pick the winner of the game. Over under is 46. You got Aaron Rodgers against, as you guys like to call him, calamari. In this matchup, a great quarterback matchup here, in my opinion. So the Jets in this one, of course, needing a win. The Cardinals not so much, but also the Cardinals trying to hold on to first place. Barrett, I think I know where you're going. Devin, I don't know if I have an idea. What are you thinking in this one?
I think kind of reflects the spread and how it's kind of flip-flopping between who's favored here. I just don't. The Cardinals are a team, like we mentioned earlier, that I don't really know what to make of them. I do think that the Cardinals certainly have the advantage here in terms of the ground game. I mean, James Conner has been playing incredibly well. He's coming off his 4th game of over 100 rushing yards. But I just haven't seen enough from the Cardinals receivers, where you look on the other side of the football and the Jets, I know I mentioned that I think they're overreacting a bit to their win over the Texans, but still you saw stuff from Davante Adams. You saw stuff from Garrett Wilson. Like they started to get things going through the air. And given that does tend to be a weakness for the Cardinals defense, it's hard to pick against the Jets in this game.
What you think, Barrett?
Of course, I'm going. I'm going with the Cardinals. I can't see. I can't see Calamari not going out there and balling, even against that Jets defense. But I will say this. I can't wait till we get to our best because Garrett Wilson definitely be an anytime touchdown guy for me. He's definitely going. But as far as everything else, I just like the Cardinals and how they're built. They're going to run the ball with Connor. They're settling down as far as teams trying to defend them. It's hard to defend them now because of his ability to go out there and run around and everything. I mean, we're not even talking about the mere fact that when you look at this Cardinals team, they might win that division. They might win that division.
Do you believe that?
They might win that.
Do you actually believe that?
Do you believe that?
Do you believe that?
Some self-reflection.
I'll try to slide it in on you, man.
Just ask.
I have a question for the room though, because in terms of props, so I really I know I mentioned James Conner anytime touchdown. I also like James Conner, honestly, maybe even over 100 rush yards again, because he's done that 4 times already. And the Jets defense has given up 90 or more yards to opposing running backs. But when it comes to Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson now, it's almost like a dual threat option, conundrum, like we talk about with the Lions and David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. If you were to take a touchdown from one of those guys in this game, who would it be? It's hard for me. It's hard. I know, Barrett, you just mentioned taking Garrett Wilson, but Davante Adams actually had one more target than Wilson last week.
He's going to force the ball to him just because that's his boy. You know what I'm saying? That's his friend.
Right.
But when he absolutely needs it, he's going to go to Garrett Wilson. He's going to go to him every single time.
Because it feels like Davante's getting the harder coverage and the number one guy right now.
Yeah.
Right? Like since he's gotten over, it feels like despite Garrett Wilson playing better and better each week and having spectacular catches, it feels like Davante's still getting the number one corner or the number one coverage. So I still like Garrett Wilson to be the anytime touchdown guy in this game.
Okay.
So I'm with you on that. I go back and forth. I guess I'm picking the Jets in this game, even though I just trashed Aaron Rodgers and I talked about the upset in Arizona. I go back and forth with the consistency between these two teams, but the Jets have a slightly better team. They have a better defense. You talked about James Conner. I like that prop. We're going to talk about this later, but let me just throw this prop in while we're talking about it. Trey McBride has been the Arizona Cardinals' leading receiver for the past 5 weeks, even over Marvin Harrison Jr. He's the one who keeps getting consistent targets.
Why? Because he's a tight end. Quarterback's best friend. He's been getting consistent targets. Didn't have a big week last week. Only had 35 yards, but that was still the most out of all the wide receivers in that blowout win because they were running the ball so much. But when they're going well, Trey McBride is getting the rock. He's getting most of the targets, and he's going to have another big game in this one. So look for him to have over 50 yards and a touchdown in this game because Trey McBride is the number one target for the Arizona Cardinals above anybody else. But I think I'm going to go with the Jets game, but I'm hesitant. If I'm being honest, I'm not betting this game. I'll bet some props from this game, but I'm not going to actually bet who wins this game. Kenny, what's the next one?
All right, let's go to Sunday Night Football. Big one here. The Detroit Lions laying 3.5 on the road at Houston. Houston expected to get Nico Collins back. No official word yet. D'Amico Ryan said he's working his way back. He is likely to be designated off IR, but that doesn't mean that he has to come back this week. The Texans coming off a loss against the Jets. The Lions have won 6 straight games. Sean, what do you think about this one on Sunday Night Football?
Oh, buddy. The Lions seem like an unstoppable force right now, right? Like they seem like a team that's been able to just body people, score, get explosive plays consistently. Yeah, I'm going to have to go with the Lions. Like I love the Texans. It's hard for me because the Texans were my pick to get to the Super Bowl, right? So I keep trying to find ways, but the Lions have been able to run all over teams, and the Texans have been giving up 100-yard rushers. They gave up 105 yards last week to Jonathan Taylor. Like teams have been able to run on them. Breece Hall, 74 yards last week. Again, that's when they were passing a lot. The running games have been able to flourish against the Texans, and the Lions have the best running game in all of football. So I'm going to pick the Lions to win this game, even though I'm looking for reasons for the Texans to win. So, Dev, I'll go to you. Please give me a reason.
Reason that the Texans can win, or a reason that they can cover?
That they can win.
I mean, I guess it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, that they can win. I don't think you're feeling it, though.
It's hard to bet against the Lions right now. Like, they're just rolling. And their offense, even when Jared Goff doesn't put up a lot of passing yards, are still putting up more points than any other team in the league right now. It's really impressive. And they just added a pass rusher to their defensive front. So I also think that the Texans, to kind of give you some pros for Houston, they had a really bad game against the Jets. Like, they just did not play well. I know losing Stephon Diggs was a massive blow. Getting Nico Collins back is going to be huge for CJ Stroud and that offense. And I think that could certainly give them a boost. They're playing at home. So I don't know if this is going to be, what we've seen from the Lions offense lately, which is a blowout. Not that they blew out the Packers last week, but I'm talking weeks previous to that. I don't think they're going to blow out the Texans. I think this is actually going to be a really good game, especially if Nico Collins is confirmed active. I just think that the Lions will ultimately come out on top because they're on such a roll right now, and they're just playing really dominant football, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah. What do you think, Barrett?
I'm going Texans, and I'm also going to points. Okay. Outright win. I'm going to, like I said from the beginning, I think it's disrespectful for them playing at home, and thinking that Lions are gonna come in. Lions are gonna come in, and if Nico Collins plays, it's a definite win.
So you think regardless, whether he plays or not, they're gonna win this game?
They're gonna win this game, yeah. Regardless.
All right. I'm glad you're confident because I need that confidence for my Super Bowl pick, but it ain't looking real good. All right, let's get to these best bets now. Devin Caney, we'll start with you. What are your best bets?
So I do like the Eagles -7.5 over the Cowboys. I don't know which side I like in Jets and Cardinals, but I do like James Conner over 100 rush yards and an anytime touchdown. In the Eagles game, I like Jalen Hurts, 40 or more rush yards and an anytime touchdown. In the Steelers game, Najee Harris, 70 plus rush yards and an anytime touchdown. Like I said, I don't intentionally create themes, but I really like the running back theme, even though I know Jalen Hurts is not a running back. He's one exception here. And then Joe Mixon also getting in the end zone for the Texans.
Okay. So it's Joe Mixon's against that Lions team. Yeah, well, the Lions. That should be a high-scoring game. Over under 49. Maybe an over on that.
Yeah. And I think this is one of those weeks I like props a lot more than picking sides. It's just too hard to, I think we're getting down to the wire. We're getting down to that point in the season where it's hard to definitively pick a team to win and cover because we're seeing so many upsets.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, because right now, I'm a lot of my picks are points, with the exception of that Texans game and the Eagles game. I'm going outright, but yes, I'm looking at the Cardinals. I'm going points. Eagles, I'm going points. The Texans, I'm going points and an outright win. The Colts, listen to me, the Colts, I'm going with the points, but they won't win. They won't win.
Okay. Tight game against the Bills.
Tight game, yeah. And then I'm going to go 49ers points, outright win. But then, my anytime props, I go with the two definites. Barkley, anytime touchdown. Then you got to go Derrick Henry, anytime touchdown. I mean, that goes without saying. Malik Neighbors, I'm going to go with a Giant for once.
Wow.
Anytime touchdown. For once, anytime touchdown. I'm going to Garrett Wilson, anytime touchdown. And then I'm going to go with, James Conner, anytime touchdown. I was debating on going with Deebo Samuel. I just really think he acts incredible when he gets when he gets a full complement of everybody there. I think he wants to show off, and that's when he starts really balling. I was trying to go Deebo Samuel. I really wanted – no, I'm still not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I was going to go Deebo Samuel anytime touchdown, but I'm off of it now.
Hey, yeah, with Christian McCaffrey back, you don't know who's getting a rock with that
Exactly.
team. It could be anybody getting that touchdown. I'm going, again, I don't normally go Giants. Like I said earlier, Tyrone Tracy Jr., I'm going 75-plus rushing yards in this game because I think he's going to be a workhorse for them. And, again, they're playing the Carolina Panthers, a bad team. So I think he's going to get off because he's been a go-to for them the last 2 weeks. And I'm going Malik Neighbors to have over 75 yards. I think the Giants have a pretty solid offensive game in this one. DeAndre Swift, over 75.
Huh?
Rushing and receiving.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he's been getting that rushing wise too. The Bears, especially against a bad team, have been able to get some of those numbers. I said before, I'm going Travis Kelce. I was about to call him Jason. Travis Kelce over 75 yards. Again, the last 2 weeks it's 100 yards and 90 yards. He's finally starting to get his flow. He's finally starting to play well. Bijan Robinson.
I'm still a little skittish on him though.
He's doing it. Bijan Robinson, 75 plus. Rushing and receiving against the Saints, who are a bad team. Again, I told you before, Christian McCaffrey, I'm going back with him anytime tutty. I'm going to go back to Saquon Barkley anytime tutty. I know I was going to stay away from it, but I can't help it. He's a Penn State. We are guy. I'm a Penn State. We are guy. So I'm going to have to go with him.
How'd that Ohio State one go for you?
Oh, dang. Jab. The show's
Like-
almost over. Jab.
She didn't even go to Ohio State. She went to Pitt. Why would she even need to do that to me right now? We
Host
could
on
have
host
ignored
crime.
that altogether.
Host on host
She
crime.
just wants to take shots just to take shots.
I know.
That wasn't even necessary. This may be the
That was
second.
Albert. I forgot.
No. This may be the second week in a row she ended the show with a shot against me. This is pure beef. She went to Pitt.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, man. Show's over. I'm done. I had some more touchdowns and props to give you, but I'm not in the mood to do it anymore, right? I'm not in the mood. We're ending this thing right here, right now.
That was the Sunday spread. Yes, that's how we ended the Sunday spread today.